What's up, friends? And welcome back. So, this is episode 3 of 4. Very excited about this one. And this one, and again, I changed my shirt. If you didn't listen to the episode before this, then you'll understand in like the beginning part, because I'm filming all 4 of these episodes back to back and changing my shirt each time, just content stuff. Creator, yay, we did it. Okay, so this one, I am just like I talked about in the episode 100. I am just going to be more me. I am just going to say it. I am not going to filter. I have a better idea and more clarity of who it is that I am speaking to. So I am just going to say it because if you are here and I want you to be here, I would like for you to be able to, well, be kind of like me, like somebody that I actually like. Lack of better terms, it's my podcast. I'll just say it. Someone I fuck with, like somebody that I would actually want to go get a cup of coffee, because that's the type of audience I want here. People to listen to me, but not everyone's like that, and that's cool. I cannot be for everybody, and what I'm be very direct in this episode. Like this is gonna be like I have like my compassionate side, my very like philosophy thinking, being like compassionate, like understanding side, empathy, very high on the empathy side. Oh yeah, that's another thing that I'm kind of working on. If you have a trait, a certain skill or characteristic trait that you are proud of and you say it, it's not bragging. It's not bragging. It's you just acknowledging and you just saying it. And if other people have a problem, then that's them. So don't feel like you have to minimize and diminish yourself. Like, for example, like I'm trying to get better at this. Like I'm not like awesome at it, but like I have a very high level of like empathy, from physical empathy from the people I train and to emotional empathy. And I'm not saying I'm perfect by any means, but like it's not bad. Like it's pretty high up there. And so with that, this episode's going to get pretty raw. I'm going to get very direct with it as if I'm talking to myself, because these are the kind of conversations I have myself. But again, it's like more from a place of love, not being mean, but just saying it as if you need to hear it. And so I'm going to say it in this one. So you have your soft glasses on and your soft earplugs. Go ahead and leave, and you can unfollow me. It's completely cool. Yeah. But if you're here and you fuck with this, then cool, let's do this. So one of the biggest things that I see that gets in people's way in just change across the board, is the story that they are telling themselves. You are the narrator. If you don't like your story, fucking change it. Change the story. You are the one writing it. You can change it. If you don't like your life, if you don't like the trajectory of where it's heading, if you don't like where you are at, the skills you have, the way you think, the things you have, the person that you are, the way you behave in this world, and or even show up to yourself, you can change it. Nobody is holding you back. And I will argue with anybody that I don't care. Like, everybody has a sad story. Everybody has some type of sappy, sad story. Everybody has had some type of disadvantage, has cards dealt against them, everything. Every single person has something. And so, with that, that means nobody is special, because there's somebody who has been in a worse situation than you, who is doing better in the thing that you want to be better at. And so that means nobody is special. Literally no one is special. And if you happen to win, having the worst advantages, the worst cards dealt against you, you have had it the hardest, then of course I feel for you. But so what? So what? Do you want validation, or do you want to get things done? Do you want to change? Do you want to change your life? Then so what? And it's not minimizing or dismissing it or like any of that. Of course, embrace it, acknowledge it, work through it. But what's next? Like, what's next? Because, for example, I can sit here and say I have managed my money very poorly for the majority of my adult life. As of right now, at 29, I just turned 29 like 9 days ago. 9 days ago. This month is where I am going to be debt free and all consumer debt, and then this next month, business debt and like student loans and like stuff like that. Like within the next 4 weeks, I am cleared. But in the last 18 months, I had to drag myself out of 25K debt, and majority of that came from consumer credit card debts. And sure, I can blame my parents. I can blame my immigrant mom who came to America with almost nothing, who I grew up without a father. Who the father I did have learned that he wasn't actually my father, and he was abusive to me, and that potentially I have two other dads. That one of them actually died, and it's a whole mess, and all these disadvantages that set up the downstream chemical reaction to where I am now, and my family never learned how to manage money, and then so because of them, I managed money very poorly, and I had a rough child upbringing, home life, and it is all their fault. Like no, like no, and even if it was like even if the way that I was managing my finances was very poor, maybe like yeah, part of it had to do from my family, from the financial literacy that I was taught, how to manage money, how to behave around money, how the mindset I had around money was it comes in, it goes right out, comes in, it goes right out, scarcity, being all of that. But the thing is, okay, if that's true, then what's next? At the end of the day, it's still my responsibility. Just like for you, it's still your responsibility. It does not matter. It validate it, whatever you need to do. But at the end of the day, it is your responsibility. And so if you do not like your life, if you don't like the skills that you have, if you don't like the behaviors you have, if you don't like the way you see the world, the person that you are, all the rest of it, it is your responsibility to do something about it. Whether it was your fault or not, it is your responsibility to do something about it because you have to live your life. Nobody else has to live it. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? And this is extremely uncomfortable. Extremely uncomfortable. But it's okay. Discomfort is not bad. It's okay. And so you just have to have the conversation with yourself and then like, okay, what am I going to do next? Because if you want to just have a pity party and sit there and be upset, being like, oh my God, I'm in my 30s. I am not where I want to be. Or I'm in my 50s and I'm not where I want to be. Whether it's physical health, financial health, professional health, my relationships, where I'm at, whatever the thing is, then it is your responsibility to do something about it. It's nobody else's. And change the story that you are telling yourself, because if you start believing that, oh, I am this old, I am this race, I am a girl, I am a boy, I can't do this, oh, I haven't done this in years, I can't because of XYZ, then you are so lying to yourself. So many people just lie to themselves. I lie to myself about things still. I still catch myself. Like a lot of the stuff, like I still catch myself doing it, saying very all or nothing thoughts, self-sabotaging myself, holding myself back, and trying to make myself the hero of my own story in whatever twisted format and lying to myself to make myself feel better. It does not help anybody. And the sooner that you can get a grip of your reality and understand that you have all the power in the world to change it. It may not seem like you may not have a lot of power depending on your situation, the skills you have and anything, but if you just go on YouTube and type in poor person became a millionaire, a black person became a millionaire from the projects, a disabled person became a went to the Olympics, you can find tons of stories. Kids who had abusive like parents became something. Somebody became something because of add whatever disadvantage or bad cards that were dealt against them. And see how many examples there are in the world of people who have made it, who have succeeded, transcended themselves, and wrote a different story. You may not have had power in how the beginning of your story was written, but you have a lot of power now in how the rest of your story is going to tell. So What are the next chapters? What are the next stories that you were going to write? Is it going to be a place of, this is where the hero turns things around? This is where you go on that long quest for yourself. You go down that rocky mode and you just became this relentless person that you just can't even recognize, that becomes undeniable, that becomes is basically a threat, somebody that you would have looked up to, somebody that you respected, someone that you honored, someone that you would love to hang out with them and or have saved you when you were a child. Go become that person. You can do it, but release yourself from whatever timeline and expectation you have for yourself, because then it goes back to some of those other episodes I talked about your values, your identity, and understanding that some of these things may be multi-week, multi-month, multi-year goals, but none of that will ever happen. That reality will never come to fruition if you do not start today, planting the seed today. Like if you look at anybody, farmers, agricultures, if you plant a seed and you water it, but you come back 3 days later and you look at it and you're upset why it hasn't grown, that would be stupid. But you do that now in other areas of your life. So understanding that you have to water the seed, and over time it will grow. But if you don't water it, if you don't plant that seed, it will die or nothing will ever happen. And all you have is for you to blame yourself. Or in some twisted way, you're going to blame other people. You're going to blame the situation you're in. Ah, my God, who cares? Honestly, everyone has had it bad in some season of some chapter of their life. Who cares? What are you going to do today? What are you going to do right now? Instead of focusing on what you don't have, focus on what do you have? Can you be scrappy? What are your resources? What are the skills you have now? It is 2025 by the time you listen to this. This is the age of information. You can build a business by never leaving your bedroom and doing it on your phone, on your computer. You can have everything. You can learn anything through your phone and your computer. That is powerful. If you don't know how to do something, look it up. What is step one? What's step two? What's step three? And go on from there. Because you can do it. You just have to understand that the timeline, there is no timeline. It takes as long as it needs to take. And so I am intentionally being very direct, but this is all coming from a place of love, because you have every power in you to rewrite the story. You can resharpen the pencil. You can write a different story, because the way that your story began is not the way it needs to end. And you have a lot more chapters in you. There's a lot more stories and side quests and monsters for you to slay and tell. And it is going to be super cool, like super beautiful. Do it for the plot. Build a lore for yourself. If you feel like you're the most boring person or you don't do interesting things, go do interesting things that's interesting to you. Go start doing stuff. Become that character. Do something. Change the story. Change the narrative. Change the story that you were telling yourself, the beliefs that you were telling yourself, and challenge those beliefs. Challenge those thoughts that you were having. Are they your thoughts? Are they your beliefs? Or are those just thoughts and beliefs that you have just learned or heard from others when you were younger, or that others have casted over you, or that you believe that you should because others are doing it? What is the life that you want to live? What do you want to want? That's a real big question if you want to get existential with this. What do you want to want? Ask yourself. And so that really feeds into, it titrates into everything else. Whether you were trying to just build habits in fitness, your finances, your personal, your professional life, and everything. It really comes back to what is the story that you are telling yourself every step of the way, because only you are going to hold yourself back. Only you can, because no one's going to believe in you more than you are going to believe in yourself. Nobody can choose to suffer through those most boring, mundane moments of learning a new skill, reading another book, taking another test, knocking on the next door, talking to that person, getting rejected. And when it comes to sales, putting in the reps in the gym, logging those miles on the pavement, having those hard conversations that are needed with your loved ones and with yourself. Like, what is the story that you are telling yourself? And take a huge dose of humility and understand that there's something to be learned. You are not perfect. There is something that you lack and you can improve. And it's not taking it as like you suck or like things like that, but like just understand, what do you want, and why are you not going after the things that's keeping you up at night? The things, the thoughts that you have of being like, oh, I would love that. I want that. I wonder what that feels like. I wonder what it feels like to accomplish this. I wonder what that would feel like, and to be able to do that and see what type of person I become along the way and on the other side. So take a take a really hard look at yourself and ask yourself, like, what is the story that you were telling yourself? And if it's not a story that sits well with you, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to just walk away with your tail between your legs, or are you going to stand up and face it and just take it one step at a time and understand it's not going to be perfect, but this is about to be a wild ride. This is about to be a really cool story, knowing that you can, because at the end of the line, all you have are your memories and your experiences. And so if you even break up the years into chapters, and there's a really cool Japanese philosophy called a misogi. So it's like your year defining task. Like, how can you categorize 2025? Is this the year that you ran your first marathon? Is this the year that you saved up an emergency fund that's 6 months long? Is this the year that what is it? You went back to school? You, what? Like, what's that year defining thing? And with that, what are the, what's the story? Like, how is that story going to have to unfold? What's the story of how your day-to-day life is going to have to be? And what that person does. And it makes it so fun. What's the lore? What's the backstory of being like, oh, you had this, all these disadvantages, this thing happened, you started from the bottom and then you worked your way up, and it becomes a amazing story that you can tell to yourself, and then tell to your kids, your grandkids, your friends, and just share those stories and have those experiences. And that makes life so, like, you're living life instead of being a zombie moving through it, just going through the motion. And there's nothing wrong with going through the motion. Like, I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with going through the motion, but this is for you, for those who are listening on the other end, who want more, who dream bigger, who, like, the question if I were to ask you is, how big would you dream if you knew that there wasn't a cap to it, that nothing was going to hold you back? How big would you dream? What's that story? So that's gonna be where I kind of want to round this out. Sit with that. I know it's a lot of thoughts, a lot of things, but good thoughts, good internal thoughts, and then take action. Know what you want to want. What's the story that you're telling yourself? What are you going to do next? And I hope a lot of you guys take this, marinate yourself in it, and then run with it. You sharpen that pencil. You started writing a different story. Tomorrow changes by and it can change by one action. Just one action. You chose to set that alarm to wake up a little earlier because you went to bed a little earlier the night before. You put the phone down. You took care of yourself and you just went outside and you got to look at the sunrise, have a cup of coffee, and then you journaled, and then you started planning the day, and then you started dreaming bigger. And then it's just a domino effect from there. It could be something as simple as that instead of, well, the alternative. And the alternative doesn't sound too pleasing. So, dream big. Dream big. Change the narrative. If you don't like the story, change it. I believe in you. I believe in you.